Welcome to Bitcoin, a complete explanation, Chapter 4, Keys, Addresses, where we will be diving into the world of keys and addresses. In this chapter, we will explore the concept of public and private keys and how they are used in the Bitcoin network. We will also take a look at how addresses are derived from public keys, and the different types of addresses used in the Bitcoin network. We will begin by discussing the importance of keys and addresses in the Bitcoin network. Without keys and addresses, it would be impossible to send and receive Bitcoins. Keys and addresses are the fundamental building blocks that allow users to securely control their Bitcoins and protect them from unauthorized access. Public keys are used to receive Bitcoins, while private keys are used to send Bitcoins. Next, we will take a deep dive into public and private keys. We will explore the mathematics behind how these keys are generated, and how they are used to sign transactions. We will then move on to addresses, which are derived from public keys. Addresses are used to identify the recipient of Bitcoins in a transaction, and there are several different types of addresses used in the Bitcoin network. We will take a closer look at these different types of addresses and how they are used. Finally, we will explore the different methods used to store and manage keys and addresses. We will take a look at different software wallets, hardware wallets, and paper wallets, and discuss the pros and cons of each. Overall, this chapter will provide a comprehensive understanding of the key and address system in the Bitcoin network, and the various ways they are used to secure and control Bitcoins. In the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, the concepts of keys and addresses play a crucial role in securing and managing digital assets. Public key cryptography, also known as asymmetric cryptography, is a method of encrypting and decrypting data using a pair of keys, a public key and a private key. The public key is used for encryption and can be shared freely, while the private key is used for decryption and must be kept secret. In the context of Bitcoin, a public key is a unique number that is derived from a private key and is used to generate a Bitcoin address. A Bitcoin address is the destination where Bitcoins can be sent and received, and it is typically represented as a string of letters and numbers. When a transaction is made, the sender uses their private key to sign the transaction, which serves as proof that they are the legitimate owner of the Bitcoins being sent. The recipient's public key is then used to verify the signature and confirm the transaction. It's important to note that while a Bitcoin address can be used to receive Bitcoins, it should never be used to store private keys. Private keys should always be kept secure and protected, as they are the only means of access to the associated Bitcoins. Additionally, it is possible for one individual to have multiple public-private key pairs, each associated with a unique Bitcoin address. This allows for added security and privacy by allowing users to generate a new address for each transaction rather than reusing the same address multiple times. In summary, keys and addresses play a crucial role in the security and management of Bitcoin transactions. Through the use of public key cryptography, unique keys and addresses are generated to protect and transfer ownership of Bitcoins. It is important to understand the concepts of keys and addresses in order to properly secure and manage your digital assets in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. A private key is a secret number that allows a user to access and control their cryptocurrency. It is similar to a password, but it is much longer and more secure. Private keys are generated randomly and are used to create a digital signature, which is used to authorize transactions on the blockchain. A public key, on the other hand, is a number that is derived from a private key. It is used to create a Bitcoin address, which is a unique string of characters that can be used to receive cryptocurrency. Public keys are not secret and can be shared with anyone. In Bitcoin, private and public keys are generated together using a technique called elliptic curve digital signature algorithm, ECSA. This technique uses the mathematics of elliptic curves to ensure that the keys are secure and resistant to tampering. One important concept to understand is that private keys must be kept secret and protected at all times. If a private key is lost or stolen, the corresponding cryptocurrency can be lost forever. It is also important to note that private keys should never be shared with anyone, as they provide full access and control over a user's funds. In summary, private and public keys play a crucial role in the security and functionality of cryptocurrency. They are used to authorize transactions, control access to funds, and ensure the integrity of the blockchain. It is essential for users to understand and properly handle their private keys to ensure the safety of their cryptocurrency. A private key is a secret number that allows a user to access and control their Bitcoins. It is similar to a password, but much longer and more complex. Private keys are generated randomly and are used to create a digital signature when a transaction is made. Private keys are generated randomly and are used to create a digital signature when a transaction is made. This signature is what proves that the person who initiated the transaction is the rightful owner of the Bitcoins. It is important to keep private keys secure, as anyone with access to a private key can control the associated bitcoins. On the other hand, a public key is a number that is derived from a private key. It is used to create a Bitcoin address, which is the public-facing aspect of a Bitcoin transaction. A Bitcoin address is like a bank account number. It allows other users to send Bitcoins to that address. Public keys can be shared freely, as they do not grant access to the associated Bitcoins. In summary, private keys are used to control access to Bitcoins and public keys are used to create Bitcoin addresses. By understanding the relationship between these keys, we gain a deeper understanding of how Bitcoin transactions work and how the network is secured. A private key is a unique, secret code that is used to access and manage a user's cryptocurrency funds. It is important for this key to be truly random and not predictable, as any predictable key can be easily hacked or stolen. One way to generate a private key is through the use of a random number generator. This generator creates a random number, which is then used as the basis for the private key. The number is then run through a mathematical algorithm, known as a cryptographic hash function, to produce a unique private key. It is important to note that the private key should never be shared or made public, as it grants access to a user's funds. It should also be securely stored, as losing or forgetting the private key can result in the permanent loss of funds. In summary, understanding the process of generating a private key from a random number is crucial in understanding the security and accessibility of cryptocurrency funds. This process, along with the use of cryptographic hash functions, ensures that private keys are truly unique and secure for each user. A public key is a digital code that is generated using a private key and is used to encrypt and decrypt data. In the context of cryptocurrency, public keys are used to create a unique address for each user on the network. This address is used to receive and send funds, and it is also used to verify the authenticity of transactions. To generate a public key, a private key is first created using a random number. This private key is then run through a specific mathematical algorithm, known as a cryptographic hashing function. This function takes the private key and performs a series of calculations to produce a public key. The public key is then used to create a unique address for the user on the blockchain. It is important to note that the private key must be kept secure at all times, as it is the only way to access the funds associated with the corresponding public key. If the private key is lost or stolen, the funds can never be recovered. On the other hand, the public key can be freely shared with others as it is used for receiving funds only. In summary, public keys play a crucial role in the functioning of cryptocurrency. They are used to create unique addresses for users and to verify the authenticity of transactions. They are generated using private keys, which must be kept secure at all times to ensure the safety of funds. In Bitcoin, elliptic curve cryptography, ECC, is used to generate private and public keys. ECC is a type of mathematical function that allows for the creation of a unique set of keys based on a random number. The process begins with the generation of a random number, known as the private key. This private key is then plugged into the ECC function, which generates a corresponding public key. These keys are mathematically linked, but the private key cannot be derived from the public key. The ECC function used in Bitcoin is known as SEC256K1. This particular curve was chosen for its security properties and efficient performance. The private key is meant to be kept secret and is used to generate digital signatures for transactions. The public key, on the other hand, is used to verify the authenticity of these signatures and is also used to generate a Bitcoin address. It's important to note that while ECC is a powerful tool for key generation, it is not foolproof. Care must be taken to protect private keys and avoid potential security vulnerabilities. In summary, elliptic curve cryptography is a key component of the Bitcoin network, allowing for the secure generation of unique private and public keys. These keys are essential for the creation and verification of digital signatures, as well as the generation of Bitcoin addresses. Now, we will explore the concept of public key cryptography and how it is used in the context of cryptocurrency. Public key cryptography is a method of encrypting messages that utilizes a pair of keys, one private and one public. The private key is used to decrypt messages, while the public key is used to encrypt messages. To generate a public key, we first need to generate a private key. This is typically done by generating a random number, which is then used to create a point on an elliptic curve. The elliptic curve used in the context of cryptocurrency is typically SEC256K1, which is a standard for the Bitcoin network. Once we have a private key, we can then use it to generate a public key. This is done by performing a mathematical operation on the private key, known as a scalar multiplication, which results in a new point on the elliptic curve. The coordinates of this new point are the public key. It is important to note that the private key must be kept secret, as anyone who has access to it can use it to decrypt messages and potentially steal funds. On the other hand, the public key can be freely shared, as it is used to encrypt messages and can't be used to decrypt them. In summary, public key cryptography is a crucial aspect of cryptocurrency and allows for secure communication and transactions on the blockchain. The process of generating a public key starts with generating a private key, which is typically done by creating a random number and using it to create a point on an elliptic curve. Then, a mathematical operation is performed on the private key to generate a new point, which is the public key.